Hi, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
On Friday, July 6th, the U.S. enacted the first round of tariffs on Chinese goods. The action has caused China to look at the tariffs on U.S. goods and even canceling orders from the U.S.
The trade issue is affecting Louisiana farmers, businesses, with soybeans in the crosshairs. As Twila's Neil Melanson shows us, what started out as fears of lower prices has turned into reality.
The soybeans here on Ray Scheck-Snyder's farm in Irwinville in late July are doing well. This is what the field looked like back in March, not long after planting. Almost daily rains have promoted growth into the lush green you see right now.
The bean crop right now looks like it's one of the best we've had in a long time. It's all early beans, late beans, they all really look good.
This great progress in the crop contrasts with events outside the field. The price for beans has dropped about $2 since planting time. Louisiana grows almost 1.5 million acres of beans, and even given a modest crop of 40 bushels per acre, that $2 loss a bushel means more than $112 million off the value of Louisiana's crop alone.
Right now it looks like, it could be $100,000 to $150,000 off from what we had planned on.
They're putting on pods now, and these pods have to fill out.
In Melville, Carlos Polizzola is pleased by what he's seeing in his fields as well and expects to begin harvest around September 1st, if not earlier. What he's less happy about is the prospect of a tariff placed on his beans by China in retaliation for the Trump administration's tariffs on Chinese goods. While he is supportive of the policy to balance the trade deficit with China, Polizzola says he doesn't know if farmers can take 2 months of prices going down further.
If the tariffs remain in place and the Midwest actually, as a country, we harvest another big crop this year, then I think at the end of the year things could get severely ugly with an abundant supply. And China, as you know, they buy 60% of our soybeans. If they're not a major player in the market and buying our crop, it could get really ugly.
The tariff issue is just one factor hanging over growers. They entered this year with a big supply of beans, and the bumper crop expected in Louisiana is also expected for the rest of the country. LSU Ag Center economist Michael Deliberto says what it all means is a $14 billion hit to the U.S. ag economy after a 50% drop in profits since 2012.
I'll say with trade tensions now that are real, 25% tariff on the soybeans that are going into China, as that demand shrinks or erodes and that demand can't be met by other countries stepping up to the plate and buying a portion of those soybeans, the carry-out or the ending stocks is going to get larger and larger.
In the meantime, soybean producers are hoping this trade rhetoric will blow over like the summer storms you see at this time of year. Polizzola says perhaps some relief could be built into the Farm Bill, and at the very least, he hopes everyone will remember just how important ag is to all of us.
We're just one bad crop away from being in a really bind, so I hope our legislatures can remember the times years and years ago where this country was hungry and help sustain the farms. Other countries put a lot more money into agriculture than what this country does. And so I hope the legislatures will do the right thing when it comes to the Farm Bill.
Right now, China is mulling over how to respond to these tariffs. They only import about $130 billion worth of U.S. products. That's compared to the U.S., which imports more than $500 billion in Chinese goods each year. Of that $130 billion in exports we send to China, $20 billion of it is in agriculture. And guys, it's not just agriculture that's affecting us. Looking at the economic map across the South, we stand to lose more than twice what every other southern state is going to lose, including Texas, which is a much bigger economic powerhouse. And you have to think, it's not just these ag products, it's things like the tariffs on steel and aluminum, which affect our boat manufacturers, as well as being that we have the mouth of the Mississippi, so many businesses in the state are built entirely upon exporting. And of course, back to agriculture, I know it hits close to home for you, Kristen, with soybeans. Of course, 60% of our beans goes to China, and I know that many of these farmers just aren't looking forward to these tariffs at all.
Well, I need to bring something up from the first story you did on the tariffs when they were still proposed. Back then, soybeans were going for $10.50 a bushel.
Right.
Now they're going for $8.50 a bushel. I mean, that's got to hit you in the pocketbook.
Well, I don't think that people realize how big of a jump that is in income. Mm-hmm. And the thing, it doesn't really matter. The whole crux of the story is this is bad for agriculture across the board. And what's bad for agriculture turns to the consumers in the grocery store. And so, you know, farmers are not going to be making as much money, but you're going to be paying more at the grocery store. And I think people don't realize that.
And it doesn't matter where you sit on the political spectrum when it comes to that.
And when it's not just that you're paying more at the grocery store, it's if this has more widespread economic impact, then you're going to have less money to spend on all of those goods, so everything will become more expensive. And it's just something that I don't think our farmers especially can withstand. It's not just this one issue, it's the fact that over the past few years they've had you know, such big profit losses. Profits are down, I think, from 2013 50% for agriculture across the U.S.
Yeah, and we've seen some other stories about what that's done to farmers, and you can go on social media and see some of that. But thank you very much for your reporting, Neil Molasan.
Well, the Natural Resources Conservation Service has a long list of programs available to help farmers and ranchers to be better stewards of their land.
This week, Twila's Carl Wiggers travels south of Lake Charles to meet a farmer who is putting some of those programs to good use on her farm.
Come on, woo!
This is where Desiree Richard likes to start her day. She spends a good amount of time caring for these calves being weaned near her home in Calcasieu Parish. She says she loves her lifestyle here on the farm.
I think it's just the freestyle. I've just done it all my life, and I love nature. I love watching baby calves being born. I love weaning these calves and like this, fooling with them. They see me, they know me.
Richard says her cattle even know what she's doing in the field based on how she's driving this ATV.
We're running right at between 250 and 300 head right now. I grew up in it. My dad was a rice farmer and a cattleman, and I grew up baling hay and working cows and doing all that.
For the longest time, Richard's father or husband took care of all the business here on the farm. However, with her years on the farm came years worth of experience and understanding as well.
I'm a why person. You know, we don't just do it. Education was very important to my dad, and he always stressed education to us. And we just grew up doing good in school, going on to college, and I continued it.
She continued to learn on the farm by asking why, but also by working through the Louisiana Master Farmer and the Master Cattle Producer programs.
It's helped me tremendously because there are a lot of programs I was not even aware of until I started going to the FSA office. And of course, when I was growing up, Dad did all that. And then for a while, my husband did all of that. And then I thought, well, you know, I need to learn some of this stuff. Something may happen to, well, it did happen to Dad, and it could happen to my husband. I need to learn this stuff.
That's the people we want involved in our program. And as you can see, Ms. Desiree is a very good steward of the land. She achieved the Master Farmer Program Farmer of the Year award this year in January.
Mary Guillory works with farmers like Richard to help them implement these programs on their farms. Desiree says the two improvements that have helped her the most on the farm are the cross fencing and the freshwater tanks.
We cross fence into smaller pastures. I think 66 is my smallest pasture at the farm, and I can rotate the cattle instead of doing all the bush hogging. I let the cattle do the bush hogging. And I have freshwater tanks in all of my pastures except two, and I'm working on that with NRCS.
Richard says that these programs are all about doing one thing on her farm.
Taking care of the land. If you don't take care of the land, it won't take care of you.
Desiree said she was blown away by all of the programs available to her through the NRCS. She explained the difference that a simple trip to her local NRCS office made in her understanding all of the programs that would benefit her most on the farm. To plan a visit to your local NRCS office and to learn more about these programs, head over to our website at twilatv.org. And Avery, Chris, and Avery, I know you reported on some of these storms. I didn't work it into the story, but Desiree had some amazing stories of, you know, I mean, she's right there at the Gulf, amazing stories of persevering through some storms, Harvey most recently, but her farm right there where we were was a big time staging area because it's some high ground right there on the farm. They're pulling a ton of cattle off during storms like that, and they're staging them there to ship off across the state. It was really neat.
The big one for her would have been 2005 Hurricane Rita, which was about a month after Hurricane Katrina. It was part of that double whammy. I'd be willing to bet that one General Russell Honore was on her farm.
I'm sure.
During that time. I was at La Berge du Lac in Lake Charles when Rita made landfall. So that storm surge probably came right up to the edge of her farm because it went past Creole. In that storm.
She was telling me a neat story. I mean, whenever Rita hit, she said she was not leaving. Her husband was off selling some horses up in Oklahoma, and her kids had all tucked tail and run. She said, I'm not leaving my farm, but finally the kids kind of talked some good sense into her. But she is so passionate about standing by her cattle and living on the land. She's done it all her life, and it was a really, really cool story to go and shoot. And it's people like Miss Desiree that make the job fun. You know, when you go and meet those farmers, y'all have done it too. When you meet those farmers that say that's the American farmer, the American rancher right there. That's really makes it a rewarding job.
Something they all have in common, I have found.
And Miss Desiree, we're glad that you decided to leave during Hurricane Rita. That way you're still around so we can tell this story.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Carl Wiggers.
Well, the Louisiana farm life is having an influence on the continent of Africa. And Avery, don't you dare make a joke about blessing the rains there.
I won't, I promise. But it was indeed a blessing to have two visitors from the country of Liberia visit Louisiana to learn about the FFA program here. Jacob Kale and William Todd Jr. were both at the Louisiana FFA convention in Alexandria in early June. The two men are the advisors for the newly started FFA programs at their respective universities in Liberia. So far, they only have about 20 members, but those members are acting as mentors to students in schools to encourage more young people to enter agriculture. Kale says the problem he and Todd face in Liberia is similar to that here in the United States.
A lot of people are not interested. So you find out people at the university, they are not much doing agriculture. So we try to create that awareness from the college level.
The Louisiana FFA program is more focused with a lot of leadership training, community-based work, and school garden program, farmers development program. So I feel that when we come to Louisiana, our coming here will improve our ability where we are.
Kale says Liberia has a similar climate to Louisiana. The main crops farmers grow there, a little bit different: rice, cassava, rubber, coffee, cocoa, and plantains. A lot of those I like, although rubber not a crop that you can really eat.
Interesting.
It's a cash crop.
Well, back here in the States, farmers are growing more rice this year. According to USA Rice, American farmers planted more than 2.8 million acres of rice.
Louisiana is one of the leading states when it comes to rice research. That's why for more than 100 years, farmers and rice breeders have traveled from around the world to Crowley for the annual Rice Field Day. The rice growing in this field could very well owe its existence to the H. Rouse Caffey Rice Research Station in Crowley. This is the 109th annual field day, a chance for farmers and researchers to interact and learn about the latest advancements in rice.
The funds that are generated by the patents and seeds and different varieties that we work with here are more than any other contribution that's made to the LSU system.
Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson also sits on the LSU Board of Supervisors. He's not alone in knowing the monetary and educational value of the work done at the Rice Research Station.
We get to see the technology done here, we get to see the innovation, and we get to see everything the LSU Ag Center is doing to try to help our bottom line and varieties that reflect those kind of economic benefits to us. And it's a great way of sharing it with any and all.
As Evangeline Parish rice farmer Richard Fontenot pointed out, this event is about sharing with any and all, including Maria Montiel, a rice breeder from Argentina.
Here you have more access to technologies, and in Argentina we have been working in conventional breeding for a long time, so now we maybe are changing our minds in Argentina, looking all this process in USA.
But Montiel is not the only one here looking to learn. Ann Itzel is the Region 6 Administrator for the Environmental Protection Agency. It's by speaking with rice farmers like Kevin Birkin that she hopes to learn how the agency can best serve the people she calls customers.
It's vitally important for folks to understand that for us to continue making those human health and environmental benefits going forward and really realizing those gains, we need to have the ag community very firmly at that table, informing our opinions and our decision making, helping us better understand what they do on a day-to-day basis. And there's nobody that can do that better than the rice farmers here in Louisiana to communicate their message, their needs, their wants, the challenges they face, and the very creative solutions they're crafting to deal with those challenges.
Anderson says that's one of the roles of Farm Bureau, to be that conduit of information from the farm or ranch to the people who make laws and regulations.
We can work with the people in Baton Rouge, we can work with the people in Washington, we can work with our delegations to show them the need for all of this, and we kind of bring it all together.
To learn more about the H. Rouse Caffey Rice Research Station, visit our website at twilatv.org. And what I thought was really neat was the fact that you had folks from other countries who come to see the research done there, invited by Steve Linscomb himself, which was really cool.
And there's always a ton of people there.
Always.
Covered one of my first stories there.
Rice farmers in Louisiana have had several difficult growing seasons in a row.
However, as Twila's Craig Gautreaux explains, this year's crop appears to have what it takes to break that cycle.
For the past 3 harvests, rice yields have been lower by as much as 20% in some regions of Louisiana. But even though it got off to a slow start, this year's crop is poised to be an excellent one.
I think the yield potential of this year's crop in Louisiana looks very good, a lot better than what we've seen in the past 3 years where we've seen some really challenges here in Louisiana.
This optimism is also being shared by some of the area farmers.
For the most part, what I'm seeing out there riding around, not only mine but a lot of others, that it's good, it's thick, the heads look good, so we could see a very, very good crop.
May was dry across Louisiana, so plant diseases were not much of an issue. Rains in June caused an uptick in the diseases sheath blight and blast in some rice fields, and growers need to be aware of them because of the havoc they can cause.
For sheath blight, it's if you don't do anything, it's from 10 to 20% yield loss. With blast, it's a much more devastating disease. It might be up to 70–80% damage.
Now, as you would expect, with national rice acres being up, Louisiana's rice crop is expected to be around 420,000 acres this year, a slight increase from last year.
Still to come on Twila, farmers are joining the lip sync battles on social media.
But first, a couple of young men in Monroe are helping neighbors in need grow their own food. Stay with us.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito on here.
I got a fish! I got a fish!
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
Before you sweeten your morning joe, before the icing on the cake, before the sugar hits the shelf, it begins with a family of sugarcane farmers dedicated to growing Louisiana for more than 220 years. The Sugarcane Growers of Louisiana, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife, recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
Farming is my way of life. I chose this career, but farming chose me.
A lot of people ask you what you do, and I tell them I'm a farmer.
I'm a cattleman.
I am a fisherman.
I'm a scientist.
I'm a steward of the land.
I am a farm woman.
I am Farm Bureau.
I am Farm Bureau.
I am Farm Bureau.
I am Farm Bureau.
I'm a Farm Bureau.
Gardening is a hobby for some people, but for others, growing fruits and vegetables literally puts food on their table, food that they need.
Twila's Tammy Oringer discovered 2 young men in Northeast Louisiana who are making it their mission to help those who can't help themselves have a garden of their own.
You know, I was so excited when I heard about these guys. You know, we found out that what they were doing in their urban garden project was going around Monroe and Ouachita Parish and making sure that people who were not able to have their own garden or just didn't have the ability or the money or the time to do it, these guys were making sure that they had a sustainable food source in their own backyard.
Y'all just made me feel so proud and so happy. I just don't know. I'm so grateful.
Darian Belton and Jordan Dunn don't mind getting their hands dirty. In fact, they want to.
Feels good, like putting the seed down, watching it grow, watching it produce fruit. It's watching every stage. It's a beautiful thing.
Belton works by day at a car rental place, but what really drives him is creating a sustainable food source, especially for those who can't do it themselves.
We want to inspire more people to take back control of their food supply. You know, put seeds in the dirt and just grow your own fresh organic produce.
The opportunity to do it themselves, learn how to be more self-dependent, but growing their own food in the backyard.
Some more glass gem corn, some chocolate bell peppers.
This 26-year-old even grows his own seedlings in his backyard. This way, he's got his own gardening starter kit when he gets ready to set up a plot for someone who needs it.
She has lemon boy, tomato, purple basil.
Belton and Dunn use social media to get the word out about their urban garden project.
Grow your own food.
And for Mary Jenkins, it's a godsend that she'll be able to have fresh veggies, something she used to do herself, but physically couldn't do it this year.
So what does it mean to you to have these young men come do this for you?
Everything. I'm just so happy. They planted cabbage, they planted tomatoes, okra. Oh, I'm going to eat well.
For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Tammy Oringer.
Now, the best part about this story is these 2 young men are paying for this out of their own pocket. According to Tammy, they are also growing herbs like burdock and St. John's wort to help people who want to grow their own medicine. Twila's Carl Wiggers will bring us a similar story next week from his hometown in Winsboro.
Still to come on Twila, the last block of our show is filled with talent, from winners to lip syncers.
But first, farmers are giving us a behind-the-scenes look at their farms every week on social media. Stay with us.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program. And you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
This is the moment I knew. His future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Earlier this summer, Carl wanted you to get to know some of our Wife and Our finalists even better than each of their stories allowed. So we let each of them take over our Instagram for a day and show you what their daily unedited life was like. If you follow us on Instagram, you know that this led to Farm Takeover Friday.
If you missed some of those, we have good news. We're doing more. Because of your positive feedback, we've decided to continue the Farm Takeover Fridays. So be sure to find us on Instagram at LA Farm Bureau and tune into our feed each Friday to spend the day with that week's featured farmer.
So Carrie got stuck hauling me fertilizer today. She's filling in with Dad since he's out of town.
Now, we really do try our best here to show you what a day in the life of a farmer is like, but full disclosure, these are edited. But what's really cool about the takeover is the instant sort of reactions you can get to comments. You know, people can post questions and all that sort of thing.
And they really have fun with it. When I posted the rumbas for them, we didn't give them any ideas or anything of what to do. They kind of came up with all of that on their own, and it was really clever and interesting. And one big reason that these have been such a success is this woman right here, Miss Allie Deweese.
Yeah, Allie, what about people like me who don't really hop on Instagram like daily? I might maybe hop on every 2 weeks or so.
Well, I have good news for you then. If you don't have an Instagram, don't worry. We'll be sharing these same stories to our Facebook page as well. And while you're on Facebook, you may see something a little out of the ordinary from our farmers.
Yeah, if you've been on social media this week, there's no doubt that you've seen the latest viral craze. Cop rock, we'll call it. Lip-syncing police officers from across the country have taken over the internet in a viral lip-sync challenge that has cops dancing and singing to catchy tunes while in full uniform.
The viral craze has been such a hit that one of our loyal viewers, Raquel Landry, suggested that we start a lip-sync battle for farmers. So, with the help of our motivated Twila turn Allie Deweese, well, she spearheaded the Farm Lip Sync Challenge for farmers to share their videos to the tunes of their favorite songs.
After Raquel's suggestion, I reached out to some of our farmers and asked them to jump on the bandwagon. And I must say, y'all have not disappointed. We have seen some great videos so far, including everything from George Strait to Journey and even a couple of duets. While we're super impressed with the submissions so far, we would love to see some more. Pick a song, grab your phone, and lip-sync your heart out. Once you've captured your perfect performance, be sure to upload it to Facebook using the hashtag #FarmLipSyncBattle and tag all your other farming and ranching friends to invite them into the fun.
Yeah, I think that we need to see some challenges here, and more importantly, Allie, we need to see yours. What song are you going to do?
I think I'm going to pass on that.
I know, I was trying to think of one that we could do as a Twila team, but I knew if you had something to do with it, it was going to be some horrendous rock
Probably
song.
be pretty hard for us all to agree on one.
You don't want me to do it. I'd do Ghost. That's what I would do. Thank you very much, Allie Deweese. Well, Kristen, the idea behind the Twila Boost is to lift the spirits of our viewers, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, after seeing farmers' fake talent, we're leaving you with some real talent. I'm talking about the talent contest winners at the 96th Annual Louisiana Farm Bureau Convention.
Braylee Bentavinia of St. James Parish stomped her way to the top of the senior talent contest with her flamenco dance.
Yeah, she really wowed the judges with her dance. But we leave you with the junior talent winners, Ashton and Ivan Aucoin of Calcasieu Parish, as they perform the Cajun music classic, Bayou Pom Pom.